Hello, beautiful people. And once again, we're working through the FRQs from the 2026 AP Chemistry exam. I'm Aaron Rudolph. And in this video, we're going to look at question number 3, which is primarily about acid-base equilibrium. We're going to start up with some straight up acid-base equilibrium questions. We'll get into a titration that was done, a quick little buffer question, and something about acid-base indicators. So hope you're excited. Grab a pencil and let's get started. In part A of question 3, we're told that nitrous acid, HNO2, is a weak acid that ionizes according to equation 1. Equation 1 is right here. They're showing the ionization in water. The Ka value is 5.6 times 10 to the minus 4th at 298 Kelvin. Part A, identify a conjugate acid-base pair in the equation. Be sure to clearly label which is the acid and which is the base. So there are two possible answers that you could have put. One is to do HNO2 and NO2. That's the acid, and then it becomes the conjugate base. Or water, which acts like a base in the forward reaction and becomes its conjugate acid, the H3O plus ion in there. So either one of those would be an appropriate answer, and hopefully you got one of those for yourself. In part B, same equation given. A solution of HNO2 with an initial concentration of 0.125 m has a pH of 2.09. Calculate the value of H3O plus in the solution. Show the work that leads to your answer. So we have to go back to our pH equations and realize that the H3O plus concentration is equal to 10 raised to the negative of the pH value. So 10 to the negative 2.09 gives me 8.13 times 10 to the minus third moles per liter for the concentration of H3O plus in that solution. And in part 2 of part B, I left part 1 in there. Part 2 says calculate the HNO2 at equilibrium. Show the work that leads to your answer. When I was going over this in class, I actually showed an ice table that we use to sort of organize our thoughts. The ice table itself is not necessary here. What we need to know is that the HNO2 is going to start at a certain value, 0.125. And we already calculated the H3O plus value, which is essentially going to be our X in the ice table. So 0.125 minus X gives me the remainder that it would have at equilibrium. So 0.117 moles per liter there. Now we move on to part C. Nitrous acid is a weak acid that ionizes according to that. There it is again. In an experiment, the solution of 0.125 molar HNO2 is heated to 333 K. The new equilibrium concentrations are determined to be these numbers as follows. Calculate the value of Ka for HNO2 at 333. So this is at a higher temperature. Show the work that leads to your answer. Is the reaction represented by equation 1 endothermic or exothermic? We'll get to that once we calculate our new Ka value. So the Ka expression is NO2 minus times H3O plus over HNO2. I plug in the values that are given to me up in here, and my answer was 1.04 times 10 to the minus third for the new Ka value. That happens to be a bigger value than this one, okay? And so I have to sort of interpret that. The reaction ends up being endothermic because this is higher than this, because the Ka value is higher at higher temperatures. Heat must therefore be a reactant. Heat, imagine that word heat over here, pushing it as one of the reactants. And so raising the temperature causes the reaction to shift to the right, using up some of that heat, increasing the value of the Ka. All right, that's part C. Let's move on into part D, E, and F. So here's a titration curve. In a second experiment, a student is given a bottle containing HNO2 with an unknown molarity. To determine the concentration of the HNO2 in the bottle, the student titrates 35 milliliters of it with 0.16 molar NaOH, which reacts according to equation 2, and that's right here. The acid and the OH makes the conjugate base and some water. Here's our titration results, and then it says, using figure 1, identify the pH at the equivalence point. So the equivalence point, we've learned in this course, is halfway up the steepest part of that titration curve. So that's our equivalence point, and that happens to be very close to a pH of 8. I'm sure there's a small range that you would be find and get the point for, because we're just estimating off a graph, but it should be close to 8. That would be your guess. Now the next part, same input of information up there. Using figure 1, calculate the molarity of the HNO2 in the bottle. Show the work that leads to your answer. So sometimes when we see a question like this, I've seen students get mixed up because they think they have to do an ice table or an equilibrium calculation or a buffer Henderson-Hasselbalch. It's really just a stoichiometry. When you're talking about finding the molarity off of this, it's stoichiometry. So I'm going to start with the 50 milliliters of NaOH. That's what was used. Times 0.16 moles per liter. That'll get me the number of moles of NaOH that was used, or moles of OH. And then I know that it's a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 OH, 1 HNO2, which tells me that 0.008 moles of HNO2 is neutralized here. That 0.008 moles was in 0.035 liters for a final molarity of 0.229 moles per liter HNO2. In the next one, we have to draw on our graph. So it says, draw an X on figure 1 to represent a point in the titration where the HNO2 is greater than the NO2 minus in the reaction mixture. Implied here is the fact that there's some of both, okay? And you might recall that as we start titrating a weak acid, we'll have a little bump in pH here initially. But then once the conjugate base becomes present in a significant amount, it really levels off and we have this buffer region. And so we have to sort of pay attention here. Now, halfway through the buffer region, that's where the acid and the base are going to be equal to each other. That's that happy place where they're all holding hands and singing songs, and you can kind of hear them being happy right there. Beyond that, the NO2 is higher than this, but before that, anywhere along here I think would be a good spot to place an X, because we're not yet at the halfway point. We'll still have more of this and some of this, but just not enough to match it or exceed it. Part G was kind of tricky. We had to remember our manipulation of equilibrium constants. So we have, it's kind of like a Hess's law, but equilibrium constant at the same time. Here we have the Ka equation from before. We also have the autoionization of water with a Kw of 1 times 10 to the minus 14th. We're asked to calculate the volume of K2 and show the work that leads to our answer. So I kind of look at this and I'm thinking, do these two add up to this one? No, they don't. Equation 2 needs to be reversed to make the system add to the last equation. So if I imagine reversing this one and then adding this to this, it'll become this. It'll cancel out and we'd have this as our result. However, when you're doing delta H's and Hess's law, you would simply add up their delta H's over here. But when you're combining two reactions with equilibrium constants, we actually multiply their equilibrium constants. Now, equation 2 needs to be reversed, so the new K value for that one is actually 1 over Kw. So I put that in here, and we're going to multiply it by the Ka value from the first one, multiply those two together, and I got 5.6 times 10 to the minus 10th as my K value for K2. Last one, this was a part H. Do you believe it? Part H in an FRQ. It's getting long. A student decides to repeat the experiment, this time using an indicator, and has access to these indicators. And the student conducts a second titration by adding 2 drops of methyl orange to the solution and titrating it with the same sodium hydroxide. The student claims that methyl orange was the best choice for the indicator. Do you agree or disagree? Justify your answer, as always. I look at the graph and I'm thinking that, methyl orange is going to start changing color right about there when the pH gets up to 3.1. And it's going to be changing color in this area. So that's not the best because we will think that we're at the equivalence point when we're actually not. So I disagree that methyl orange was the best choice. It will change color well before the equivalence point. A better choice is thymol blue because it has a pKa that is close to the pH at the equivalence point, right in there. That was a long FRQ, but we got through it, and I hope you found this helpful. And if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to me down below. And in the meantime, happy studying and have a great day.